Hope you're with family and friends and enjoyed a great turkey dinner. Now ready for some college basketball. We've got a great doubleheader tonight, beginning with this first matchup between the Rams of VCU and the Tigers of Memphis. And let's take a look at the starting lineup first for the Memphis Tigers. And of course, that second guy from the left, Joe Jackson, is who Donnie Marshall talked about. He'll be joined in the backcourt by Chris Crawford. Thomas, Hall, and Black are in the front court for the Memphis Tigers, who come in at 2-0 on the season, having defeated Northern Florida and Samford. And they are coached by the man we heard from just a few moments ago, who made a couple of references to the movie Hoosiers, Josh Pastner, fourth year. And there you see his outstanding winning percentage as the head coach of the Memphis Tigers. Now for the VCU Rams, they come in with a record of 2-1, having wins over Florida Gulf Coast and a win at Winthrop, losing to a team they played in the NCAAs last year, Wichita State. You see Theus, Daniels, Graham, Reddick, who we highlighted at the top of the show, and the 7-footer DJ Haley in the front court. Haley not always designated to be a starter on this VCU team, but they felt they had to go a little bit bigger against Memphis. And of course, better known these days than he was 3 or 4 years ago, Shaka Smart, after what he's done, Donnie Marshall, with this program, especially in the NCAA tournament.
You know, at VCU, it's all about the way of life. It's all about the business, the approach. Talked to Shaka Smart last night. He said, you know, we're not here to go on any of the water slides or to hang out on the beach or to gamble. We're here to play basketball. This is a business trip, and that's it.
Take a look at the officiating crew tonight. Jamie Lucky, Darren George, Dan Daly, the crew here. And you heard Carolyn talk to Josh Pastner about the fact that it was warm in here for the afternoon games. It is already quite warm here in the Imperial Ballroom as the Tigers of Memphis control for the first possession. And this is Jackson, being watched by Darius Theus, number 10, the point guard for VCU. Barricon Hall, where's number 0, tried to go inside, but that's what VCU does, Donnie. They get hands on passes. You've got to be crisp and precise when you pass the ball against this defense.
They pack it in. They help not once, not twice, but 3 times if they have to, whatever it takes to come up with the steal.
This is Reddick handing it off. Quick pass, wide open 3 on the way is no good. And a foul underneath. And it looks like it's going to go with Memphis. Let's go to Carolyn Mano.
Well, Dave, Shaka Smart told me before the game, transition defense is his team's #1 defensive key. He said we need to sprint back, communicate, and load the ball, meaning that they want Joe Jackson to feel constant pressure, Dave.
That has been their hallmark. That's called havoc. And it's something they wear on their warm-up jerseys and in practice as that ball deflected out of bounds. Last touch by Crawford of Memphis.
Havoc, they call it a controlled madness. I don't know how that makes sense, but if you watch them play, you understand. They speed you up. They make you play faster than you really want to.
We were here for all 8 shoot-arounds yesterday, and we saw different styles and approaches. But both of these teams practice pretty much like they play. High tempo, full speed, lots of contact. Spin move on the inside. Laid up off the glass and in. Trayvon Graham, the sophomore out of Washington, D.C., getting VCU on the board with the first 2 points. And here comes the Rams' pressure all over the court. And Jackson had it knocked away. And a traveling violation.
And that's exactly what they do. They speed you up. And you have to understand, if you're Memphis, where's your help coming from? Can't reach in. These guys know how to not only speed you up and play in transition, but a couple guys that can put it on the floor and get to the rim.
Now Theus looking for the high screen, goes to his left instead. Tarek Black, number 10, tried to pick him up on the switch. Now Memphis with some pretty good pressure at the defensive end.
And this is one aspect that Memphis has to really focus on, especially Joe Jackson can't get stuck on the screen.
Well, Theus all the way lays lace it up and in. And again, Donnie, the help was late.
The help was late, but it all starts with Joe Jackson. You can't get stuck on the screen. You put a lot of pressure on your bigs on that back line.
Hall tried to force a pass, and the officials are talking it over. It definitely hit a VCU player first. The question is, did it come back and hit Hall? Apparently not.
Joe Jackson, look where he is. He's at the three-point line. His man's at the rim. Just cannot happen. Better communication, from the start. But then you have two guys showing up just a split second late.
But then again, you got to credit Theus with a nice little crossover dribble. I mean, he did everything that he had to do.
Theus is looking for a contact lens. Looks like he found it. He heads back to the huddle.
VCU with the first 4 points. They had the disappointing loss to Wichita State, 53-51. Now Theus getting a little bit of time to get that contact lens back in. One of the biggest differences we noticed from the first tournament last year, and this is only going to grow as people and fans and alums of the various schools that end up coming to this tournament. This is a great place to be at this time of year, and we had a packed house in here for the afternoon session.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily think it's the lights. I don't think it's a team, it's the fans that make it so warm in here, but this is how a player wants to play. You want to play in a hot gym, not a cold one.
Number 5, Oki Rafer into the ball game. As Theus has to attend to that contact lens problem, and after the Memphis miss, here's VCU again. Betty Oki Rafer from London, England. Kicks it to the corner. 3 on the way is an air ball over the rim.
I want my point guard to finish that at the rim. Oki Rafer has to stay aggressive offensively.
And a little pull-up attempt there by Adonis Thomas. Hit the front rim, and an offensive foul here against VCU.
Right.
So DJ Haley picks up the foul for VCU. Memphis has missed their only 2 field goal attempts, as you saw there.
Look at the pressure, though. Again, speeding you up. Guys recovering.
Double team everywhere on the court.
And that's just pure work ethic, hard work, and trust. Trust that your teammate will get your back if you jump a guy in a trap.
And another foul at the offensive end, setting a screen. And this time it's going to go against number 23, Jared Guest, who came into the ball game.
And this is a huge part of establishing who you are if you're Shaka Smart. He wants to talk to the officials. This is how we play. The officials have to adjust to the way the teams are playing.
The Jazz Masters Club has to figure out how to handle the pressure. Dave Drader, Donnie Marshall, Carolyn Mano, and Kenny Rice with us as well. Hosting on the set at halftime in between games. VCU Rams off to a quick start. Both coaches talked about the fact that the other team plays like they like to play. And they knew that this was coming, Memphis did.
Well, VCU can play that way, especially on offense, because they have some ball handlers. Joe Jackson dominates the basketball for Memphis. So they're going to have someone come up and alleviate some of VCU's pressure if you're going to have any success versus it.
The freshman Shaq Goodwin, 6'9", out of Atlanta, Georgia, wears number 5, is in the ballgame. He has it in the low post, bounces underneath the block, who is fouled and couldn't finish at the rim after he was hacked on the arm going up.
You can see the unselfishness of Memphis, though, already. Earlier pass in the interior turned into a turnover going the other way, but here, Shaq Goodwin knows, didn't even have to look, knows where his teammate is. Terrific pass. You got to finish those, big fella.
Troy Daniels picked up the foul for VCU. As Black finally gets Memphis on the board.
Tarek Black's going to be big for them because you need that outlet somewhere in the mid-post to high-post area if the pressure is going to extend.
And Black knocks them both down. He's now made 8 out of his 12 free throws. Looks like a kid that'll go to the free throw line as much as he wants to. 8 out of 12 on the young season. This is just the third game for Memphis. Rob Brandenburg, number 11 in the ball game for VCU, and his pass is not handled in the low post. A turnover for VCU, and Memphis has it back.
Well, turnovers are all tied right now, 3 apiece. So both teams doing exactly what they want, at least on the defensive side of the ball.
But the thing you have to wonder, as warm as it is in this ballroom that's been converted to a gym, and a foul on the ball pressure there again against VCU, you wonder, regardless of which team wins, I mean, everybody's playing 3 games in 3 days. Can you keep this up?
Well, this is the way you want to play it. If you talk to Shaka Smart, they want the conditions as uncomfortable for the opponent as possible, and that's a huge part of what Havoc is. Create an environment, an atmosphere that your opponents are not comfortable in.
And they just created another turnover, a 5-second violation on the inbounds. Briante Weber, number 2, comes into the ball game. You talk about an exciting athlete, and number 2 is Antonio Barton from Memphis, who comes in as well. But Weber is a kid that reportedly has a 48-inch vertical leap. Has the ball in his hands, quickly gives it to Theus. Now Graham trying to drive against Shaq Goodwin, lost his balance, but it's going to be a trip against Goodwin.
Shaq Goodwin is smiling a little bit. That's always been a tough call, I think, for any official. When a player falls, was it created by the defender? Sometimes guys just trip over their own feet.
Weber open on the baseline out of bounds, but he lost it. Now picked up by Javante Reddick, and he lays it in.
Well, you wanted to see Weber use that 48-inch vertical, or at least part of it, to finish there, but I call him your trusty Dusty. Javante Reddick always there in the right place at the right time for the finish.
Now Barton to Crawford, low post, Gooden. Under pressure, too strong. Tarek Black with the putback.
And that's what Tarek Black does, carves out space. And even though Javante Reddick he's gained 35 pounds since his freshman year, still not as wide as Black and Goodwin.
Now Theus, pressured by Joe Jackson. Graham on the handoff. Weber gets it back. 12 on the shot clock. Long 2 on the way is off the back rim. Slapped out of bounds. Last touch by VCU. Boy, a lot has happened, and it seems like more than 10 points should be on the board, but there was Javante Reddick with the putback. And for Memphis at the other end. Tarek Black able to finish 6-4 VCU. Third game of the day, the first of our evening doubleheader here on the NBC Sports Network. Second annual battle for Atlantis. Missouri winning earlier over Stanford. Duke took care of Minnesota. There you take a look at the combined field goal numbers, 4 for 11. Wow. And they're going to say it was off of Crawford, who was pressured there by Briante Weber, and another turnover for Memphis.
The one thing you have to do if you're Memphis playing against the VCU team is you try to match their energy, one, but you have to pay attention. You have to value the basketball because they will stick their hands in there and come up with turnovers like you saw there.
Well, Graham looked like he slipped on the floor a little bit. Now Theus. Graham pulls up for the uncontested 3 and knocks it down. Well, he has made half of his 3-pointers now on the season, 5 out of 10 from beyond the arc. Another Memphis turnover. VCU has numbers, a 4-on-1. They kick it out to the corner. Daniels, yes!
That's what he does. Made 94 threes last season. You have to find him for those last 2 buckets. Every point for VCU was in the paint.
Strong move to the basket, but too strong apparently by Adonis Thomas. He's called for the offensive foul.
And Dave, let's stay tuned here. All 12 of VCU's points are off of Memphis turnovers. If that doesn't epitomize what Shaka Smart's team tries to do and what really makes them who they are, nothing else will.
Seven Memphis turnovers. Brandenburg gets the high screen. Haley rolls to the basket. Graham, he switched pivot feet.
And really was wide open.
Yeah.
Didn't have to be in a hurry. That's when you got to take your time. And that's always the balancing act for teams like VCU and Memphis. When do you get your guys to slow down just to the right pace where you're under control, but you're ahead of the defender? So it's a tough balancing act.
Now Jackson calling for the clear out. He'll go one-on-one here against Theus. 8-2 scoring run for the Rams. And the bounce pass off the hands of Goodwin became right back to Jackson. He's got Thomas open on the wing, and he knocks down the 3.
Thomas is a terrific player. Can beat you from the outside with his feet set. Very strong player.
Graham pulls up for the 3, in and out. And Tyrek Black got tied up there with DJ Haley, and I think Black's going to be called for the foul.
We talk about Joe Jackson being the guy. Adonis Thomas has to live up to his name. This is his first 3-pointer of the season. I know the season's young. This is only their 3rd game, but that was he's 1 for 6 now from 3, and if he can get that going, Memphis is an entirely different looking team offensively.
Okie Rafer skips it to the corner. Weber back out front. Okie Rafer has it again now. Jackson watching him. Daniels pressured out almost at midcourt. Down to 12 on the shot clock. Haley sets the screen. Okie Rafer with a spin move. Back out to Weber. He fakes the 3 into the lane with a tough little one-handed rainbow shot that drops through. VCU with a 14-7 lead. E.J. Stevens in the ball game now for Memphis, number 30. Got it to Thomas, but a foul here against the Rams again.
Again, perimeter defense so important. Look at Joe Jackson. Look where he is. He's standing still. Now the total breakdown. Then he doesn't come in and help. I don't want to pick on the youngster, but this is what you have to really fight through to become a great player. Not good, but great. Breakdown is there. He's not there to help the next play. And Weber, terrific floater, using part of that 48-inch vertical in the paint.
Troy Daniels picked up the foul, his 2nd. He's the player that Shaka Smart calls the best shooter he has ever coached. So they'll miss him while he's on the bench. Okie Rafer reached in there and slapped it away from Adonis Thomas. Cannot overhandle the basketball against this VCU defense. He has a wide open 3, no good. And out of bounds. Looks like it was last touched by Stevens. Yes, it'll be VCU basketball.
Memphis having some issues picking up guys. And at times, when you're in transition, just find a guy. Communicate and find a man. May not be yours, but at least everyone is being marked.
Weber pulls it back out. Okie Rafer gets the high screen from Reddick. Kicks it back out. This is a long 2. That is perfect. Nice looking form there by Jared Guest.
And I would expect if you're Memphis, you can live with that shot from Guest.
Almost turned over again as Thomas got it caught on his hip, but was able to recover.
Dave, right now Memphis has more turnovers than points. Never a good stat in any sport.
No matter how early in the game.
That's right.
Goodwin puts it on the floor. The jump hook off the glass and in. Nice looking move there by the freshman from Atlanta out of Southwest DeKalb, where he was a McDonald's All-American, and now it's Memphis back the other way. But difficult runner is no good. And Reddick thought about the pass, and he thought he held his pivot foot, but the official said no, a traveling violation. So after the rebound by Reddick, he turns it over. It's been a frenetic pace, just like we thought it would be. For VCU showing they can shoot the basketball. They're not just all about defense, and they lead it by 7. Boy, all the schools traveled well for the second annual battle for Atlantis. You can see Memphis well represented here. They trail, though, 16-9. And we take a look at the former McDonald's All-American Shaq Goodwin.
And take a look. I just want you to keep your eye on this guy right here. Don't take your eye off of him. Here he is. He's running. Gets to the other end. That's the same play. Scores, hustles down. That's exactly what Shaq Goodwin does. This is what makes these guys go. And they say he's a better passer. People see him make great passes. I don't care. I want to see him scoring and hustling back on D just like that.
Represented USA in the FIBA Under-18 tournament down in Brazil. Billy Donovan was the head coach, and Shaka Smart was the assistant for that USA team. And Goodwin had some terrific games there.
Tell you what, if you can't learn to play the game under those two guys, even if it is for part of a summer, you're not going to learn from.
Oh, what a spectacular finish at the rim by DJ Stevens.
Go up and get it. Wow. And that may be exactly what Memphis needs.
Well, maybe the only way to beat this VCU pressure is to go over it.
I mean, look at this extension. What a terrific pass, but look at the catch and the finish.
And what's interesting is the guy whose vertical leap we were talking about, Briante Weber for VCU, had position, but he was already beaten in terms of exploding up in the air, as Stevens was well over the top of him. Weber, nice move, frees himself up. No good on the attempt from the wing.
And that's the one part of Weber's game they're waiting for to catch up with the rest. Inconsistent shooter. We watched him a little bit in shoot-around yesterday, and the shots that had some tight rotation on them, they seem to go in. The other ones that kind of just float up there like knuckleballs, not a chance.
Now Crawford. Stevens. Martin thought about pulling the trigger on the three. Jackson kicks it out. Martin, a lot of contact when you go through the lane. 10 on the shot clock. Jackson crossover dribble into the lane, kicks it to the corner. That's a three that rims out.
Pretty good offense, though. Drive him, baseline, and get ready to catch and shoot it.
There's a catch and shoot right there in perfect rhythm.
Have to get him involved, Dave. There's no way he should have to be a second shot player in this game. Reddick can really score the ball. You have to keep looking for him.
And again, the full court pressure for VCU forces a turnover. Here's Diaz, and he is fouled by Crawford.
And this, to me, looked like Javonte Reddick said, okay, don't forget about me. Not a great shot. He had his man and another defender within 2 feet of him. And then here, this is what VCU does so well. They turn you over, and then they back you up. They create buckets for themselves or fouls.
And even for a veteran squad, it becomes frustrating because you're just not used to playing against this kind of pressure in practice or in most games.
Listen, you have to take ego out of this game. You really do. If you're Memphis, slow it down a little bit. Spread your guys out. If it's a full court press, get the ball to the middle of the floor. That breaks the pressure every single time down. Take it down just one click.
Diaz knocks it down. Let's go to Carolyn Mano.
Dave, Josh Pastner just said to Chris Crawford and Joe Jackson, why are you guys playing scared? The assistant coaches are telling them, you're doing everything that coach told you not to do. Do not retreat. Do not play on your heels. And the message to Joe Jackson, you are not playing hard enough, Dave.
Well, he was on, the coaching staff was on Jackson in practice, and right there, Memphis commits another turnover, bouncing it on the baseline, trying to get it inbounds.
Silly turnover. Again, slow it down one notch. You know, it's hard enough when you're trying to break the pressure, but if you can't even get the ball in by passing it off of the line, you're in trouble.
Diaz to the basket, off the glass. That was deflected. Tyreek Black got a hand on that. We've played just over 10 minutes. Memphis has 10 turnovers. Crawford, boy, he was thinking about passing and decided to shoot at the last minute. Here come the Rams now in transition. They get a bit of a break. It ends up right in the hands of Trayvon Graham, and he lays it in. Thomas into the lane. The floater is good. Adonis Thomas.
Thomas is the one guy that I think can kind of stray a little bit and get you buckets other than Joe Jackson. But you really need to get yourselves back in transition if you're Memphis. Okay, you turn the ball over. Let's get back.
Nice roll to the basket by Javonte Reddick on the perfect feed from Brandenburg. Crawford the other way, pulls up, knocks it down.
Under control, not in a hurry. His jump shot before, you were right, he was in the middle of passing that ball, got himself stuck in the air. Wasn't a great shot. That one much more under control.
First 2 points for Chris Crawford, the junior out of Memphis, Tennessee. The entire starting lineup for Memphis so far this season from Memphis, Tennessee. First time in 25 years they've had an all-Memphis starting lineup. You have to go back to the opener of the 87-88 season. Last time that happened, and a nice-looking delivery from outside the arc by Brandenburg.
Another guy, he's 2 for 12 on the season.
Now Wilson to the basket, and an offensive foul. Damian Wilson, the freshman out of Oak Hill Academy, tried for a highlight reel dunk, but he's called for the offensive foul.
And no surprise, look who took the charge. Stepping in, Javonte Reddick. We talked about this off the top. He's everywhere. He does a little bit of everything for this VCU team. They're taking a charge. I say if you talk to him in person and he doesn't smile, don't take it personal. That's just who the kid is. He's very focused, understands what his job is, and he understands what the goal is for VCU.
Now Memphis with some full court pressure of their own. Okie Raper straight up the middle. Johnson, the floater in the lane is good. Melvin Johnson, the freshman out of the Bronx.
Get the ball to the middle of the floor. It breaks any pressure.
Bounce pass underneath. Found the mark to Thomas, but a wild hook shot ended up in the hands of his teammate, Tyreek Black, who laid it in. 6 points for Black. Three-pointer straight away is good. Trayvon Graham.
Again, lack of communication. You have to pick up a guy. Just because they're not in transition does not mean you can relax. And this just cannot happen for Memphis. VCU, 16-6 run over the last 340 or so. When they're not in transition, they know how to move the basketball. That is just too much airspace. Guys standing wide open, shooting jump shots. Just Josh Pastner has to be fuming with his team right now. Those plays should not happen in the half court.
You know, VCU, going back to last year, has held their last 8 opponents to 65 points or less. All 3 of their opponents this year, even in the loss they had to Wichita State, have been held to less than 60. And you can see why. I mean, they just disrupt everything that you try to do.
You know, a terrific stat for them. They're forcing almost 20 turnovers a game, and right now they've already forced 11 in the first half of this game. I mean, we have a lot of time to play. 18 of their 32 points are off of turnovers. I mean, that's how good VCU is in balance scoring as well.
Foul has been called. We'll get to that when we get back here to the... Yeah, it was Shaka Smart's VCU team, Melvin Johnson, that picked up a foul just as we went to the break. But VCU impressive with a 32-17 advantage over 19th-ranked Memphis. And speaking of impressive, how about Shaka Smart, what he's done since coming to VCU? Everybody remembers that run to the Final Four in 2011. They came close to repeating that in the NCAA tournament last year.
Talked to him yesterday. I said, where'd you get your name? How did you come up, or your parents come up with that name? And he said, not named after, but in honor of the famous Zulu warrior. Tells you a little bit about how intense Shaka Smart is. But both names tough to live up to, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you almost have to be the definition of your last name in everything you do.
Let's go to Carolyn Mano.
Dave, Shaka Smart wants his team to keep the pressure but be smart about it. He said, hey, listen, they're in the bonus, we're in the bonus. We need to defend without fouling, but keep up the pace, Dave.
That's always the challenge, as hard as they play. And a lot of times, when you play the way these teams like to play, it depends on how the officials are going to call it. As Jackson knocked down both the free throws.
VCU, I think, one of the few teams in the country that not only make the opponents play their style, but they make the officials ref to their style.
Okie Raper with the spin move. Martin staying right with him. Under 10 on the shot clock now. Okie Raper running out of options, throws it up toward the basket, missed the rim. A shot clock violation will be called.
And really, I don't think that's a bad turnover, because now what happens is you get a chance to set up your pressure in the full court. That ball comes off, Memphis goes the other way. Now you're backpedaling if you're VCU.
Yeah. Guest pressuring the ball. They need to get it in, and Stephen stepped up there and finally provided an outlet. Now Stephens again, kicks it to the corner. Wide open shot, rims in and out.
For VCU, you got exactly what you wanted, a jump shot out of that pressure. Make Memphis shoot jumpers, no layups.
Diaz being watched by Thomas. Diaz to the baseline, kicks it to Brandenburg, wide open, gets the shooter's bounce.
It's all working for VCU right now. Moving the basketball, getting shooters' bounces from three-point range. Memphis, you got to figure out how to combat that, and maybe that's the guy.
He got to the backboard but couldn't finish. Now Weber the other way with a floater is short. And Memphis has the ball. And fouled from behind, and that's exactly what Shaka Smart was talking to Carolyn Mano about. Those are the kind of fouls that are avoidable.
Absolutely, but on this end, VCU, when things are going right, that's what happens. Those shots fall. 61% right now VCU is shooting, and at this end, Memphis has to figure out how not only to get Joe Jackson going, but how to get Joe Jackson to get his teammates going as well.
So Stephens takes a seat. Jackson knocks them both down, comes in averaging 13 and a half in the first two games of the season, now has 4 points. Trayvon Graham. Now Diaz. Diaz all the way to the basket, and that was deflected on the way up. Pretty good recovery there by Adonis Thomas, who got a piece of that. Floater from the baseline, no good. Tip, and Tyrus Black has it, but it's going to be a foul against Memphis.
If you're Joe Jackson, you tell Barton, listen, shoot the basketball. You're open, shoot the ball.
Second foul on Black, who will take a seat with 5:14 remaining here in the first half as Shaq Goodwin checking back in. Reddick short on the free throw. Memphis slowing it down a little bit, Donnie, like you talked about. But there they go a little quick. They get a break. It falls right into the hands of Goodwin. He lays it in.
Yeah, I like the pace, though. You know, what Javonte Reddick is for VCU, Shaq Goodwin is for Memphis. Another guy you're going to have to try to get involved, not just on those scrap-up, clean-up plays. Let him get some touches downstairs.
Crawford pressuring Weber. Kicks it to the corner. Brandenburg hit one there earlier. Backs down another one. A steal. And Brandenburg couldn't quite make it 2 in a row. Floater by Crawford is good.
Yeah, take your advantages in transition. Don't be afraid of it. This is the end you have to focus on if you're Memphis.
Now Graham. Diaz gets the high screen. Picked up by the bigger Shaq Goodwin. Diaz with 8 on the shot clock. Spins, ducks under, lays it up short. And Memphis comes up with it. Jackson running. Kicks it to the baseline, and Thomas going to the basket, knocked down Briante Weber, but Weber is going to be called for the foul. Now Brandenburg has had some success. Last one he hit, he got the shooter's bounce. That one was perfect all the way for the 3. VCU by 13.
And welcome back to the battle for Atlantis. A surprise, it's VCU leading by 13 over 9th-ranked Memphis. 3:30 to go here in the first half. Hi, I'm Kenny Rice. Coming up at halftime, no surprises this afternoon. 13th-ranked Missouri and 5th-ranked Duke both advancing. We'll have highlights of that game, and we'll also hear from VCU's head coach, Shaka Smart. And congratulations to Dave Strader doing that interview, because he's one of the few men to get Smart to sit down for more than 2 minutes, as we've seen him pace the sideline throughout this first half, Dave.
Well, when he sat down, was he jittery? Was he in his seat trying to go?
He was
trying to get out of there?
No, he was great. You know, I won't give away too much of the interview, but I thought his best line was, we were just talking about what's happened to the program. He said, we no longer hear BC who.
Right.
Everybody knows who we are and how we play.
And remember, he's 35 years old. He and Josh Pazner.
Yeah.
Top 10 youngest coaches in the game today.
Absolutely. Thomas couldn't hit the free throw. Pull-up is good. Nice job by Trayvon Graham. He's hit and scored in a variety of ways here.
Tell you what,
12 points.
He has 12, and this team, everyone talks about their energy level and they speed you up because they don't have guys who can score. I tell you what, they have 3 or 4 options that can get you buckets in transition or in the half court.
Barton after the handoff. Difficult spinner off the glass, too strong.
Look at that.
Weber, what hustle. And a timeout called by VCU.
I got to give Shaq Goodwin a lot of credit, though. You know, he's catching the ball far away, too far from the basket for my taste, but still a willing passer and a terrific passer down there, and then doesn't get to score. And this is a frustration a lot of bigs have. If I don't get to score, I'm just going to run back on D and pout. He doesn't. Watch him right here, number 5. Almost comes up with the steal. And again, you called it great hustle by both teams right now, playing terrific basketball.
Take a look at the scoring leaders. You mentioned Thomas with the 12 for the Rams. Brandenburg hit a couple of threes. He's got 9. Tarek Black leading the way for Memphis.
You know, the problem is on the Memphis side, your 2 studs, and Thomas and Jackson, they have 8 of the turnovers, and those are your dominant ball handlers. And if those guys are turning the ball over, you have no opportunity to get in your sets or to break any type of pressure that VCU may be applying.
He is working against Jackson. Hands off to Weber. Just over 2.5 remaining here in the first half. First of our doubleheader. Number 2, Louisville will take on a terrific shooting Northern Iowa squad. Theus hands it off. Reddick almost able to get it to drop late in the shot clock. Now Crawford. Into the lane, pulls up for the shot that is no good, but a foul called on Brandenburg.
Got bailed out. I think at that point you got to find a teammate, maybe run a pick and roll, swing the basketball. VCU right now, they are built to guard one-on-one. We watched their shoot around yesterday. They spent about 12 to 13 minutes at the guard end playing one-on-one basketball. That was one of their drills. While most teams are just shooting, catch and shoot wide open shots, VCU is working on one-on-one offense and defensive basketball.
VCU now with 10 fouls here in the first half, so Crawford shooting 2 hits the first. Again, part of that Memphis starting 5. And you talk to the Memphis people, not necessarily by design, but when they talk about recruiting, they're proud of the fact that there's a lot of great young ball players in the Memphis area. They'll look other areas of the country, obviously, but they don't want to let some of these local kids get away.
It helps your fan base. It helps, you know, the one thing that you have to understand about university athletics is you have to please your fan base. You have to please the boosters, the people who really follow you, even when you're struggling. And the way you do that is you have to recruit in town, close by, at home.
Now Daniels spent some time on the bench with his 2 personal fouls. Theus into the lane. Oh, he switched to the left hand. That was creative, but he couldn't finish it. Now Barton strong to the basket, lays it up soft, no good. Okie Raper plays it ahead. Here's Theus. Jackson getting back defensively and commits the foul.
I tell you, this VCU team knows how to retreat. We're showing you the end here. And Jackson fouling, but in only a second. But VCU making you pay, whether it's a steal for a layup, or they're knocking down threes, or they're getting back and forcing you to foul them. And they're relentless. And this is the difference in a VCU team than a lot of teams in the country right now. They know what their identity is. They know exactly who they are, and it's because of that man right there. I mean, Shaka Smart says, listen, I'm not bringing players in here to figure out who they are and then adjust around them. This is our system. We recruit this type of player, and this is the way we play from start to finish.
Another hustle play after a missed free throw as Brandenburg and Graham have checked back in to the VCU lineup. Minute 20 remaining. Brandenburg. Okie Raper wide open, rattles in and out.
Pretty good offense, though. Can't ask for a better shot than that.
Jackson to the baseline, difficult pass, and Graham with the steal. Teddy Okie Raper hands it off and gets it back now. Under 40 seconds, 19 on the shot clock. Graham strong to the basket, and a foul. As Goodwin underneath the basket is going to be called for the block.
I tell you, this is coming from a disgruntled, undersized big man in college. When they don't guard on the perimeter, this is what happens. You step up to help, when you're called for the foul. Now, it was a foul on Shaq Goodwin, but the reason he had to step over is because of the penetration. Perimeter has to be more solid for Memphis in the second half. Yeah, that's 2 fouls on Goodwin, and you need him in the game for more reasons than one. But, you know, that should be your cog. In the second half, you have to get this guy touches. Not to have him score, but because he does so many good things when he touches the ball.
Graham knocks down the free throw and immediately picks up his man with a full court pressure. Shot clock is off. 20 seconds remaining in the half. VCU has shot over 50%. Memphis has hit 9 of 21. 3 on the way, and fouling the jump shooter is Theus.
Cardinal sin in basketball. All right, you have to run out under control. You also have to know the time on the clock. Here, under control, hand up.
Yeah, that extra leap right there. He got there, then he jumps into him.
And once he leaves his feet, he's going to beat you there. Stay down. You pick up the foul, 1, and you hope that they don't make all of their free throws.
Now, Memphis, their first couple of games, have done a pretty good job at the free throw line. And Barton hits the second of his 3. 6.2 seconds remaining in the half. Shaka Smart gets Daniels, Oki Rafer, and Javante Reddick back in the ball game.
Little offense. 6.2 seconds, plenty of time. Find your guy Daniels. Dead on three-pointer.
Barton made only 1 of 3, but got his own rebound. Under 5. Now Wilson, that's way off the mark. Well, Donnie, I think in a lot of ways what we expected, maybe not for Josh Pastner's club to be down by 14, but in terms of style, we got what we expected.
We got exactly what we wanted. This is a team on both sides of it that plays with a ton of energy. We saw that in the first half.
Shaka Smart right now with Carolyn Mano.
Coach, about half your first half points came from forcing turnovers. How satisfied are we with the pressure that you were able to apply in the first half?
Well, the pressure was good. We got to do a better job with our transition defense. I thought Memphis got loose too much for us. But I like the pace of the game right now. We got to keep it up.
I noticed you talking to your team a little bit about mental focus and consistency, staying with the pressure, not making mistakes. What will your message be to them at halftime?
Well, we just got to play through fatigue. Both teams are tired. That's just the reality of a game like this. But we practice this way every day. So if we keep playing the way we practice every single day, we'll be fine.
Coach, thanks. Dave?
And like every team in this tournament, they're going to play 3 games in 3 days. Quite a first half for the Rams of VCU with a 14-point lead over 19th-ranked Memphis. And they've done it in a variety of ways. Yes, they've done it off turnovers, but they've proven they can hit the wide-open jump shot as well. We'll hear more from Shaka Smart. Our sit-down interview with the VCU coach is straight ahead with more at the half. VCU impressive in the first half of this quarterfinal matchup against Memphis in the battle for Atlantis. 42-28, the Rams with the lead. Dave Strader back along with Donnie Marshall. And, you know, you look at the Memphis stats from last year. They were a team that scored around 70 points a game. They're well below that with only 28 at the half. So the big question is, what does Memphis do differently to try to turn things around?
Well, I think you have to, like we talked in the first half, slow it down just 1 click. That means you get guys into their positions. You don't have to be frantic trying to score one-on-one. That's what VCU wants you to get into. They want you to try to go without being in an offense. Memphis is a much better team than that.
Well, let's take a look at the first half stats brought to you by Coke Zero. And the 14-point margin largely because of that last set of numbers you see at the bottom there. Points off turnovers, 20 for VCU compared to just 7 for Memphis. And Memphis is a team that takes pride in defending and turning the opponent over. VCU was the club that kind of dictated the pace. And with a report from the Memphis sideline, let's go to Carolyn Mano.
Well, Dave, everything that you and Donnie are saying right now is exactly what Josh Pastner just told me. He said, I just told my guys to calm down. He said, we're not going to make a 14-point shot. We just need to chip away, chip away. And also, they scored about half their points on turnovers, like you just mentioned, Dave. He said that is not going to work. We need to pick it up at the second half, but just calm down a little bit, Dave.
Well, there were a couple of opportunities, thank you, Carol and Donnie, for Memphis when they did get the ball off the court to pull it back. They seemed reluctant to do that. But we talked about VCU scoring off turnover, but they proved, as you pointed out, they've got some guys that can shoot the basketball.
They run their stuff. You talk about discipline. It's discipline to be able to press guys and then get back defensively, but it shows more when you can run your offense, not only score in transition, but get good shots in the half court against a pretty good Memphis defensive team.
Now, Memphis isn't a team that's necessarily looking for the three-point shot. They took only 2. The Shaka Smart's club was 6 for 11 from behind the arc in that first half. VCU was a team last year, Donnie, that took 800 three-point field goal shots over the course of the season.
Yeah, they shoot it at 37%, and they defend it at about 27%. And if you're Memphis, that scares you because you're only shooting 29% from 3. But that shouldn't be the focus. The focus should be taking better care of the basketball and clock management. You have to know when to go and when to hold that ball back out.
Adonis Thomas picked up the foul for Memphis, his second of the ball game. E.J. Haley set the screen. Rolled to the basket, had it knocked out of his hands. It'll remain Rams basketball.
And you can see exactly VCU telling Memphis, listen, we'll beat you to death with our passing. You know, we'll hit you over the head with it and find a guy that's open.
That Reddick shot, I believe, was deflected from the baseline. It was short. And we'll see Memphis get a chance to run some of their half-court offense. Thomas pulls up with a 3 that rims out. And out of bounds, last touched by VCU. Remains Memphis basketball.
I just think you can get that shot anytime. You know, if you're Josh Pastner, you got to be thinking, hey, guys, play together. Let's run some stuff together, not just step backs. Thomas, terrific player, but he's a better player when he plays in the offense.
Tigers with a fresh shot clock. Everything on the perimeter right now for Memphis until Thomas gets to the lane, lays it up and in.
That's the offense you want right there. Such a better look for Thomas. Curling, coming off of screens for an easy layup. Then a step back, you know, landing on 1 foot, 3-point shot. Basketball's an easy game. We as players just make it difficult.
Haley with the drop step and the hook, rims in and out. Memphis with the basketball. Jackson to Thomas with a 3. And the long rebound picked up by Crawford. Goes back to Thomas, into the lane. Skip pass, wide open for the 3 in the corner. It is good. And Steffens, who had that spectacular dunk in the first half, hits the 3-pointer there.
You can feel the mood in the building changing a little bit. Memphis playing a little bit better at their pace, and they're forcing VCU and Daniels into a bad shot. Memphis starting to get their composure a little bit in this second half.
They've got it down to single digits, 9-point lead. Pull up, long 2, no good. Black, good position, lays it up and in. He's fouled by Haley.
And that play I don't like. The only thing I like about it was the work from Black down on the post. And here, Thomas, get to the rim, young fella. You're a better player that way. Drive, draw, and kick. Love wide open shots. And then here, Tarek Black making Haley work. Really doing the job cleaning up You know, your teammates, they'll make a mess taking bad shots, and you have bigs on Memphis who can clean those up for you with offensive putbacks.
Black unable to hit the free throw, and then Jackson with a foul in the backcourt as he made contact with Theus.
Memphis on a 7-0 run right now. All set up, I believe, they've calmed down, they've taken a deep breath, realized you're in the Bahamas, let's relax a little.
Now that was Jackson's third foul. Pastner did not look at the bench, Donnie, like he was going to take him out.
He needs him on the floor, but he needs him to play smart.
Daniels wide open. He's going to knock that down. Had a chance to set his feet. That great release of his.
And over his career, he's made 5 3-pointers in a game 7 different times, so he can get it going.
Here is Jackson. Offensive foul, and that's exactly what you worry about when you leave your point guard in. When he picks up that early third foul, you hope something like that doesn't happen as he picks up his fourth, but there's Daniels.
Yeah, this is tough. If you're Jackson, you have to understand your importance on the floor to your team, especially when you fought this hard to come back, and you see it right there. It was an obvious good call by the official. You know, you have to have some recognition of what the score is and where you've come from in this game. If you're Jackson, they need you on the floor.
Let's see what Antonio Barton, number 2, does coming into the ball game. Joe Jackson's going to be on the bench.
He's got 4 fouls and 6 turnovers. Maybe that'll give him a chance to relax, calm down a little bit.
Brandenburg one-on-one. Theus thought he had an opening. Lost the ball.
And right now you can see VCU a little bit out of their element, a little bit out of control. And I think that's due to Memphis' better defensive stance. They're staying at home. They're not running at guys. Staying under control.
Another deflection out of bounds. Trayvon Graham got a hand on that. Still Memphis basketball.
I'm still making my case for deflections being an official stat. They really affect the game in so many ways.
Well, Barton, see Memphis that time. They rushed it down the court, but then they pull it out. Thomas being watched by Daniels. Crawford. Thomas. Similar basket to the one he scored a couple of possessions ago. Curls off a screen and goes right to the rim.
It's just good offense there. VCU playing a little catch-up.
Devontae Reddick. In hockey, we call that the late man. You got to recognize the late guy coming into the zone, and that was Reddick there, and it was executed perfectly. Well, that's the better offense that Donnie was talking about, with Thomas going strong to the basket and finishing. Getting the friendly roll. It's been a good start for Memphis here in the second half. VCU with a 10-point lead here in the second half as Memphis has done a few things, Donnie, that Coach Pastner certainly wanted them to do in terms of adjusting to what happened to their team in the first.
Listen, you had a VCU team that was up to about in this game, and now Memphis doing the job in the second half has gotten them down to, still looks good, but better for Memphis, down to 50%. And I really believe you've slowed VCU down a little bit. And you can tell VCU's turned the ball over a few times, and they're almost going too fast. Shaka Smart, you know, he talks about we practice the way we play. And you hear a lot of coaches say that, and it's a cliche at times, but, you know, they practice hard, they play hard. And points, you're going to get tired. And Memphis is trying to take advantage of those little spots that VCU may be wearing down in.
Again, we've got number 2 Louisville coming up against Northern Iowa to wrap up the quarterfinals on this first day of the 2012 battle for Atlantis. Take a look at the leaders tonight in this ball game. Trayvon Graham has 14 points. Reddick has 5 rebounds. Theus has 4 assists, leading the way for VCU. Thomas 9 points, 5 rebounds, leading the way for Memphis.
And if Memphis right now can just keep it close and Barton can help lead them, yeah, they're going to be in a good way. Again, Joe Jackson, 6 turnovers, only 2 assists. So that VCU pressure getting to him a little bit. This will be a good chance for him to relax and think about how he's going to finish this game.
Well, Crawford gets it up the court, lobs it to the rim, but it's slapped away. And the Rams come up with it. Theus for Graham. Daniels for 3, knocks it down. A deep 3 for Daniels.
Shaka Smart says the greatest shooter he has ever coached.
And that's about as easy a bucket as Memphis has gotten against the VCU pressure. Reddick on the baseline. Tarek Black tried to avoid the contact, but could not. And he is called for the foul. The coach has called him his greatest shooter, and he hasn't disappointed. Troy Daniels, a couple of threes here in the second half. VCU leading by 11. VCU continues to lead it here. 15-12 remaining in the second half, up by 11. Mentioned Memphis for the first time in 25 years. An entirely homegrown starting 5, and they have more than just the starting 5. If you take a look at the map of the Memphis area and the players on this roster. Jackson, Paul, Black, Crawford, and Thomas all starters. Trey Draper not currently with the team on this trip.
They've had some great Memphis players. Penny Hardaway, probably the most famous. Elliot Perry, second all-time leading scorer. That was when it was Memphis State. And Keith Lee, 2,400 points, all-time leading scorer at Memphis. They're all homegrown.
Now Weber wanted to go inside. It wasn't there. Oki Rafer way away from the basket with 10 on the shot clock. That's the screen from Reddick. Weber into the lane, knocked off the ball, picks it back up, and the shot clock is down to 0. And Shaka Smart's club getting a little bit of a taste of their own medicine there.
Memphis picking up their intensity on the defensive end, and really, it's communication. When you have an athletic team that knows where they're supposed to be, that final piece is communicating, letting guys know, I have your back, and then letting the next guy know he has his back, and so on and so forth.
Now Crawford at great speed, plays it ahead. Chased down by Barton on the baseline, lays it in.
Boy, talk about Joe Jackson going to the bench. Barton stepping up.
Junior out of Baltimore, Maryland. After we talked about all the Memphis players, and a little short fadeaway there by Reddick, in and out. And Barton is taken down. Boy, we've seen a lot of bodies on the floor in this game.
In this game right now, even though you have a Memphis team that is struggling, here Barton, great move along the baseline, finishing with the big guys. This game is being played the way it's supposed to be. You know, in this day and age of AAU, the bad rap AAU basketball gets at times, and players are, you know, they come in entitled, and they think they expect you to give them something and that the game owes them something. They are showing a ton of respect for the game of basketball just in what we've seen tonight by playing the right way.
Now Crawford gets the screen. Steffens pops out, attacks the basket. Difficult pass for Tarek Black to handle, but he's fouled.
right now, VCU needs to, that first half, they were playing with their emotion, their energy, their feet and hands. Right now, they have to bring their minds into it just a little bit more. When you get tired, you don't think as sharp, and then you start to reach a little bit more. You're a step slow. This is when you have to think your way through the game at this stage.
He has picked up his third foul. He goes to the bench. Crawford, nice low post entry there. A difficult shot in traffic for Adonis Thomas.
Does so much from the perimeter. His great body to be able to finish down low. And
offensive foul away from the ball was committed by the sophomore Jared Guest. So a little bit of frustration perhaps setting in for the Rams.
Adonis, how fitting. We are in the Bahamas at the Atlantis, the Greek god. Adonis Thomas, just a terrific play. Recognized the defense coming, the help, shoots it off the glass. Memphis right now 6-0 run over the last, just under 2 minutes.
Adonis, the god of beauty and desire, and he showed a little bit of that, both of those things in his game. Deflected ball, the Crawford, he knocks down the jumper, and we've got a ball game. Memphis within 5. Reddick pulls up, that was blocked. Black got a piece of it. Good hustle by VCU to keep it alive.
And you see Shaka Smart telling guys, relax, calm down a little bit. Usually he's telling them pick it up, speed it up. Now he's telling them get into your set, run something good.
Brandenburg to the basket, lost it, and he turned it over.
Here, when things start to go your way, you have to take advantage of them. That's what Memphis is doing. Almost a turnover. Crawford comes up with a nice little mid-range jumper.
VCU hasn't had a basket since the 15:35 mark of this second half. Farrakhan Hall, number 0, back in the ballgame for Memphis. Memphis has only played 2 games, so it's a little difficult to put too much stock in stats, but they have forced their first 2 opponents to turn the ball over. Now Thomas forced back by Brandenburg. Crawford slapped away. Okie Rayford got a hand on it. And a 3 on the shot clock.
We talk about being early in the season, a great test for both of these teams.
Crawford contested, forces it up, top the iron. Rebound picked up by Barton, and Okie Rayford stayed with it, got a deflection. Stolen by Memphis. Underneath, Crawford lays it in.
Talk about pressure. Memphis applying some of their own, and it is a 3-point game with Joe Jackson on the bench.
Yep. Okie Rayford finds a wide open Graham. He makes it, and he's fouled on the 3-pointer.
And a silly, silly foul again by your big fella. Just really in uncharted waters, guarding a 3-point shooter. Tough play.
Boy, you have to be so careful everywhere on the floor because of defense and pressure like that. But Graham, showing his versatility, will have a chance for a 4-point play when we come back. Well, aside from that 3-point shot by VCU just before we went to the break, and they'll have a chance at a 4-point play. Memphis really has done a lot of things better in this second half they did in the first.
In technical terms, we call this a B roll. I'm going to call it a J or lay roll. That means, what do you want, a layup or do you want a jumper? Well, we'll give you a little bit of both if we're Memphis. 1 jumper, 2 jumpers here, and then a layup for the big fella. And all this means is they picked up their pressure. They started to play together and gain a confidence that they can actually not just play in this game, but can win this game. And that's what the score shows you. And you see the difference in the second half with just under 12 minutes to go. They're already shooting the ball as well as they shot in the first half, or better, excuse me.
Trayvon Graham leading the way with now 18 points with that free throw. And Coach Smart talked about Trayvon just needing to understand to take what the defense gives him, and he certainly seems like he's done a great job of that here tonight. And a turnover, again with the VCU pressure. Pull-up three is short, and Brandenburg just missed getting a hand on it at the offensive glass.
Right now, Shaka Smart really going with his reserves, trying to get his starters some rest, because he knows that this is going to come down to probably a track meet. Have your guys rested and bring them in when it counts, because you know Pazner's bringing in Joe Jackson towards the end of this game.
And on the shot clock. Fade away is good. Nice looking play in the post again by Adonis Thomas. Back to a 5-point lead. Haley, nice recognition all the way to the basket. And Stephens may have gotten a piece of that.
Here again, you put a guy who's interchangeable on Thomas in the post. He makes good things happen. The kid's so talented, Adonis Thomas.
Let's go to Carolyn Mano.
Well, Donnie mentioned VCU's reserves, and that's what Shaka Smart said to his team in that last huddle. He said, we've got more depth than they do. We need to try to use it. He also said they need to pursue the rebounds better. Not happy with what they're doing off the boards. Dave?
Well, Shaka Smart's pressure defense is, again, starting to try to swing the pendulum down to the other way. I mean, Memphis was lucky they got the ball back. A long diagonal pass against that press. Nearly intercepted, was tipped out of bounds. Now Barton pulls it back out. And watched by Daniels. Thomas, quick spin into the lane, knocks it down. What an impressive set of offensive moves there by Adonis Thomas.
You talk about an all-world Olympic-style athlete. That's exactly what Adonis Thomas is showing us. And the greatest shooter that Shaka Smart has ever coached. And Troy Daniels is showing us why.
Now Thomas lost his balance, couldn't quite finish. Don't forget we got Louisville and Northern Iowa coming up after this one. Talk about a team that likes to push the pace and force their opponents into turnover. Rick Pitino's squad.
Tell you what, folks at home are going to have to take a breather. They're going to have to take some deep breaths after this game. And get ready for that Louisville game coming up next.
Daniels had a good look at it. Couldn't get that one to fall. Barton for three. Well short. Diaz. Weber kicks it back out. Daniels wide open. And missed it just to the right. Slapped off the glass, and Tarek Black pulls it in.
Great timeout call right there by Memphis. Coach Pazner says we're going to slow this thing down a little bit. Let's get ourselves regrouped.
Well, we mentioned earlier that Adonis in Greek mythology, the god of beauty and desire. Look at this.
Whew. Talk about acting like a ballerina, spinning. And look how deep Troy Daniels, that's an NBA three right there. These teams are going at it back and forth. You wouldn't know that this is the third or fourth game of the season for these two teams.
Daniels has hit 4 out of 8 from the floor, and all of them have been three-point attempts.
Yeah, and he's, like we mentioned earlier, he's made 5 three-pointers in a game 7 different times.
Yeah.
And we still have a lot of time to go in this one. And find him. And, you know, if you're Memphis, more importantly, you have to find him. Kid made 94 threes last season.
Well, Josh Pastner continues with Barton, Thomas, Stephens. Shaq Goodwin, the freshman, is over at the table. waiting to check in. Tarek Black out there as well for Memphis. Crawford, difficult pull-up shot, was short. And again, two players on the floor, very physical, away from the ball. Brandenburg with a strong drive, and it's tipped out near center court. Daniel swings it to Theus. Theus gets it back from Trayvon Graham. VCU up by 6, going to run something here. Graham with Reddick. That was knocked away.
You got to give him a target, though. Reddick is down there with both hands up. Which one do you want him to throw it to? You got to give the passer an opportunity to get it into your sweet spot.
Now Barton, strong acceleration, laid it up. A lot of contact, no call. I don't know you'll see many games where there's at least 2 bodies on the floor at the end of every play.
Where's the target? It really no target, and if you had to guess, it would have been the inside hand, but there really was no definitive place to throw that basketball. If you're Reddick, you have to know if you want that basketball, give the passer an opportunity to give it to you in a good spot.
And you just saw Joe Jackson with his 4 fouls back in the ball game with 8:25 remaining and his team down by 6.
He has to help keep the energy up. They're playing well right now. Has to be seamless coming back in the game for Joe Jackson.
Diaz carried the ball.
And really, Memphis again got away with one. Joe Jackson beating off the dribble, and this is the problem that you run into. You have 4 fouls. You know that. You just sat on the bench for an extended amount of time. How do you stay aggressive? Joe Jackson has to figure that out the last 8 minutes or so.
Now Barton, 8 minutes straight up left here in the second half. VCU with a 6-point lead. Barton into the lane. Difficult shot, put it up too strong. Look at VCU run the court. Diaz, that was blocked, picked up though, and laid up and in by Weber.
Great play defensively, but a heads-up play by Weber to just go straight back up.
Now Crawford. Goodwin, oh, he just didn't put that ball down before he traveled, made a difficult pass. Jackson into the lane, floats it up and in.
Needed to score a couple buckets. If you're Memphis, remember what got you back into this game. That's running your offensive sets and playing together.
And remember, Jackson's 4th personal was an offensive foul, but you don't want him to stop being aggressive at the offensive end. Theus, nice hesitation move. Goodwin trying to stay with him, but he draws the foul. VCU maintaining the 6-point lead. A block, but as Donnie said, a good hustle play. Grante Weber stayed with it to get the layup. And Jackson is back in the ball game with his 4 fouls, doing what he has to do to try to lead a comeback for Memphis. Earlier in the afternoon, Memphis, you take a look again at the leading scorers in the ball game, had 15 total turnovers in their 2 games coming into this one, forced into 16 by VCU.
Well, I love the quote from John Calipari. He says, for his team at least, if we don't win, we learn. And I think that's what, you know, both of these teams, whoever comes out victorious, the other team's going to learn a lot about themselves and what they have to do to adjust and the style that they have to play.
Yeah, and a lot of the coaches talked about it. With a field this deep, and regardless of whether if you lose, you still are going to move on as Memphis turns it over. You're going to have to move on and play 3 games in 3 days. So, yeah, all the coaches talked about the fact that they're going to learn a lot about their teams as Memphis has turned it over yet again.
Joe Jackson's 7th turnover.
And is this Jackson that committed the foul? Yes.
Just not his night. And you have to find really that line between staying aggressive and staying smart. You know, you don't want to just let guys blow by you, but you need to stay in the game. 6:40 to go. That's a lifetime in college basketball.
Well, he came in with his 4th personal foul with a little over 8 minutes remaining in the second half.
And as a coach, you never want to tell your player, listen, you have 4, be careful. You just hope that, you know, instinctively they know that they have to stay on the floor and that they have to play smart.
So Graham at the line shooting 1-1, 7th team foul on Memphis.
And that is Trey Graham's career high right there, 19 points.
VCU came in shooting only 65% from the line in their first 3 games. They had missed 20 out of 57 free throws and lost a tough one to Wichita State by 2. And there's another turnover. It's taken away by Weber.
Oh, let it go, Daniels. Let it go.
And that hesitation leads to a VCU turnover as they give the ball right back.
And Shaka Smart's yelling at him, shoot the ball. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm with Shaka Smart. Let it go. You are a knockdown shooter.
Everybody, including his teammates on the floor, expected him to shoot. They weren't ready for that pass to come back. Donald saw a lane. Finishes with the left hand off the glass.
Kid's talented. Very, very talented.
Diaz tried to force it to Reddick. And Tarek Black thought about trying to go length of the court to Shaq Goodwin, but made the wise decision. Now Black. Good job by Reddick. Weber with a deflection. Tarek Black again. A lot of contact. That'll count. Count the basket for Black.
Tell you what, he's got a wide body, and he makes them pay. You know, broken plays are really made from you getting confidence back, and that's exactly what Memphis has done in the second half. Tarek Black has a chance to tighten this game up. It'll be a 4-point game and plenty of time. And really doing this with Joe Jackson on the bench. He came back, picked up a foul. Now he's out of the game.
Good hustle by Goodwin, but VCU able to maintain the basketball. Okie Raper gets it back, number 5 for VCU. Graham into the lane, hands it off for Reddick, and an offensive foul. Nice job by Tarek Black.
You get that deep, you have to go up, especially when you have the hot hand. If you're Graham, go up. Because what happens is he's going towards the pass. Watch this. He's leaning in, going towards the pass. He elevates and goes straight up. That won't be an offensive foul call.
Steffens needs to get it in, and he does. Shaq Goodwin with a little baby jump hook. A big kid, but he's got a soft touch in close to the basket.
Shaka Smart using those timeouts. Memphis is on a 6-0 run at the right time in the game.
And the youngster Goodwin showing veteran moves and keeping Memphis in the ballgame.
He holds my hand at night when we watch TV.
Whenever we make eye contact, there's always a little twinkle in her eye, no matter where we are.
If I'm going through something, he jumps in there and he goes through it with me.
She will leave notes for me. It says, thinking of you, wish I was with you, clean the bathtub.
She takes care of me. Let her know she's loved with an Expressions for Hellsberg bracelet you can customize just for her.
I just know.
Hellsberg Diamonds. Tell us how you know you're loved.
4:50 remaining here in the second half. It is a one-possession game. VCU with a 62-59 lead. Dave Strader, Donnie Marshall, Carol Amano, Kenny Rice, rest of our crew, wishing everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and glad you're with us here. We've got more college basketball after this one with number 2 Louisville taking on Northern Iowa. Rob Brandenburg gets the screen. Thomas on the switch. Strong move to the basket by Graham, had it knocked away, but a foul is called.
Great recognition. Remember the last time, offensive foul. Trying to pass that ball and you're 4 feet away. This time you get in and you try to go up and finish that. Now, he's one of the terrific up-and-comers as a sophomore. Remember, Bradford Burgess was on this NCAA tournament team from last year, and Graham is really the guy filling in for him. And he's stepping up. Career high tonight. And look at that. He's worked on his free throw shooting. And it looks good. I mean, it came off the front rim, but
good rotation on the ball. Well, Memphis now down by 4. Again, their star point guard Joe Jackson is fouled out of the ball game. MVP of the last 2 Conference USA tournaments. Black with a little hook from about 5 feet.
Just hard to get around him. I mean, he carves it out, and he is excited right now trying to get his crowd into this game.
Brandenburg for the 3 that's no good. Contested rebound, and it goes right to Trayvon Graham, and he lays it in. And again, 2 bodies on the court at the end of almost every play at the basket.
I don't know if you will find a college basketball game where 2 teams play harder this entire season. Not up to this point, but the rest of the season.
And Goodwin unable to handle that entry pass. Theus finds a wide open teammate for a 3. That is good as Rob Brandenburg knocks it down. And VCU gets a little bit of separation here with 3:21 remaining in the second half. And Donnie, again, it's not always about just a turnover and running down and laying the ball up and in. They've got some shooters.
Yeah, they really do. And here they have a terrific scorer. And when it's going your way, sometimes the ball just drops right to you. Trayvon Graham, and then here, Rob Brandenburg, he came into this game 1 for 11. He has 12 points, all 3-point field goals. Talk about getting yourself going again. Coming in with a game shooting 10%. And you turn it around like that.
And VCU has knocked down 11 out of their 20 from beyond the arc. I don't know if there's a team that statistically is that dramatic of a turnaround on the 3-point shot. They can make it, and they defend it very well.
Yeah, and that is a really tough battle against any team to understand that, hey, this team shoots it and they guard it. Most teams that shoot it well don't guard it that well.
Now Goodwin out of control, offensive foul. We talked about Javante Reddick at the top of the show, epitomizing this VCU team. He's a scorer, but he said, I'll take a charge if I have to, if that's what the team needs. And they needed it there, up by 7.
Hey, Dave, what's going on? Well, I was just in the huddle, and they said pressure. Be strong with the ball. You have to expect the pressure. They said we are in the double bonus. Just get ready for it, Dave.
Listen, we're talking about VCU forcing 20 turnovers from the Tigers. on the other side, Memphis has caused 17 turnovers. So let's not make this seem like it's a one-sided game. Memphis has really done the job. They just have had some tough breaks. Shaq Goodwin fouls out, and Joe Jackson. I mean, two of their main cogs.
That offensive foul on Goodwin as we went to break was the 5th for him. Memphis needs something good getting this late into the shot clock at the defensive end. Brandenburg's going to have to force a long three, and he knocked it down.
Wow. And there was really nothing you could do about that. Brandenburg just elevated, and that looked good from the second it left his hand.
Back the other way quickly. It was Barton. He goes down, but a foul against VCU.
I mean, look at this. 3 seconds on the clock, and he knocks it down. And VCU, 8-0 run, Dave. Last minute and a half or so, and that's what you do. You know, we talked about at about 6-7 minutes, Shaka Smart had his reserves in, knowing he was going to have to finish with his studs. Brings them back in, and now they're playing the right way. I mean, guys are stepping up, making shots. It's interesting, when Daniels passed up that three-pointer, he came out immediately, and Brandenburg inserted and has made some big buckets late.
5 for 5 from beyond the arc. Donnie, as you pointed out, he came into this game. He had started the season 1 for 11. Graham pulls it back out. 10 on the shot clock. Less than 2 minutes remaining. And Thomas got a piece of the shooting hand of Trayvon Graham as he went up. And VCU, you talked about it, Donnie, when you're a team that's built on speeding the other team up, it sometimes takes a lot of discipline to realize at the offensive end, you've got to slow yourself down. Take some of that energy and be smart.
Absolutely, which leads you to believe that Shaka Smart, you know, people have said, contrary to what they have said about, you know, his team just speeds you up because they just don't have the talent. He's made some believers probably out of his own team in this game, but especially out of people around the country watching this game. I mean, he has some special talent. Not only that, but he has some basketball IQ on this team. And you can tell, by the way, they really work the clock down. They understand we have a 10-point lead, move the basketball, but they also know when to speed it up. I mean, talk about being potent. Man, both ends of the floor, Shaka Smart has his guys working it.
And another Memphis turnover as Weber got position there on Barton.
You know, you have a team in Memphis, and as you look at Coach Pasner, they're understanding that they're trying to figure out who they are. This is their 3rd game. So in all fairness to them, the communication, you know, a lot of pressure on a kid right there, and Joe Jackson trying to figure out, you know, not looking ahead, trying to become the, you know, 3-time MVP of the Conference USA tournament. Now he has to understand who he is, and they're trying to figure out who they are, you know, as a unit together. And then they run into a buzzsaw in VCU, who already knows who they are this early.
Now Brandenburg pulls it out against Crawford, hands it off. Okie Rafer pressured by Barton. VCU doing a nice job with the shot clock these last couple of possessions. Graham steps back for the 3 and knocks it down. And nearly stolen by Trayvon Graham.
They never give up on the play. Most players, and I love plays like this. Take a look. He looks at the clock, he eyes it down, and doesn't give up. He doesn't run back, putting his hands in the air, celebrating. He goes in, almost comes up with another steal.
Their transition and their thought process from offense to defense is incredible. They know after that ball goes in, they've got more work to do as Thomas twirls, and then a turnover, and Steffens with a jam. That's about as fast as you'll see 4 points put up on the board as VCU got careless.
Right now, if you're VCU, it's just going to turn into making your free throws. That's all it is.
Crawford with a reach-in on Theus. VCU 51 seconds away from advancing on the winner's side of the bracket here in the battle for Atlantis. And a matchup with Duke. And will that be fun to see how the Blue Devils handle this pressure, and Coach Krzyzewski against Shaka Smart.
Talk about differences in not only personalities in the coaches, age, styles of play. I mean, it is going to be a very diverse, contrasting game. I love it. I think that's what college basketball is today. You know, you love to see teams that play slow against teams that play very, very, very fast.
Crawford, long three is too strong. And Rob Brandenburg has just played terrific for Shaka Smart as Weber is fouled by Steffens. Now, I thought it was interesting in looking at the background of these two teams. There's only been 4 programs, Donnie, in the country with 24 or more wins in the last 6 years. And these are 2 of the programs. Memphis and VCU. The other 2 are Kansas and BYU. Weber knocks down the free throw. Final half minute of this one. Off the foot of Barton and diving on the floor. First Graham, then Weber. And a foul is called, but the entire VCU bench is just up and cheering the hustle on that play, even though Brandenburg was called for the foul.
They don't care what time in the game it is. They don't care what the score is. They play the same way throughout. They're up 13 points, and they are pressuring the basketball all over the floor.
And you can tell the mentality. Anytime there's a loose ball on the floor, they all have the mindset, that's ours. Out of bounds, last touched by Memphis.
Well, in a game earlier this month, VCU played Winthrop, and Pat Kelsey, Winthrop's coach, said after the game, we didn't know what happened to it. We didn't know what just hit us. I mean, they came in like a swarm. They were making shots. They were pressuring the ball all over the floor, and that's exactly what they did again tonight against Memphis.
Well, I mentioned that all these schools well represented by their fans and supporters, and the VCU faithful up and cheering as Shaka Smart's club did it their way. And even though that number 19 ranking is next to the Memphis team that lost, it doesn't have the feel of an upset just because you knew what Shaka Smart's club was capable of doing.
And haven't heard Shaka Smart mention one time, hey, they don't respect us, we're not ranked. I guarantee you he's saying that behind closed doors to his team to get them motivated, because they played like a ranked team in this game tonight.
Well, the winning coach, Shaka Smart, standing by with Carolyn.
Dave, thank you. Shaka, congrats on the win. Solid perimeter shooting down the stretch, but what was the key in your mind in sustaining that second half run that they brought on?
Well, Memphis played a heck of a second half. They really came at us, and I thought the key was our guys sat down and got stops when we needed them most. The style of play really won out for us tonight. It wasn't pretty. We gave up a lot of shots in the lane, but we forced them to tire out, and it made them miss enough of them.
You move on now to play Duke. What can we expect in that matchup?
Well, it's a quick turnaround. Duke looked terrific today in a game against Minnesota. They're as physical as any team that will play all year, so we're going to have to match that physicality and then play our style.
It's early in the season, but can you describe how cohesive your group is, the basketball IQ, the fact that your team is so in sync, it seems?
Well, our guys love each other. They play together. We're a family. And for a lot of our guys, you know, this team is all we really have. So we bond together, we fight. It wasn't perfect, but as long as the guys buy in and play hard on D, I'm happy.
Congratulations, Dave.
Well, Memphis did end up shooting 53% for the game because they did have some layups, but ultimately VCU made some terrific plays at the offensive end as well to win it 78-65.